Hello and welcome to another video. This is the fourth episode of the story in which Naruto fails an exam for the second time, is duped by and then defeated Mizuki, and is given the opportunity to graduate early but does not take it. Now, with the determination to become strong enough to protect those he cares about, he will reach new heights. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. As the team landed at the entrance of Kanya village, the weariness of the journey began to show, especially on Ino. Panting heavily, she asked if they could slow down, her voice breathless as she struggled to keep up. Naruto, always one to speak his mind, was surprised by her exhaustion, questioning if that had truly been fast. But before she could defend herself, Sasuke cut in coldly, dismissing her as weak, calling her nothing more than a fangirl. Ino's heart sank as shame washed over her. Naruto, quick to defend, disagreed with Sasuke, but the damage was done. Ino's spirit crumbled further, even as she clung to Naruto's words. Even he thinks I'm weak, she thought. The bitterness of competition with Sakura flared in her as she caught the pink-haired girl smirking, not even remotely tired. The rivalry between them simmered silently as they walked into the village. As the team moved forward, Naruto, with his usual curiosity, asked about their client. Hana explained that they were working for Kuro Agashir, a wealthy collector of weapons. This didn't sit well with Naruto, who found it foolish for someone to hoard tools they'd never use. Just as he voiced his thoughts, an unexpected interruption came in the form of a high-pitched squeal. A girl leapt onto Naruto, clinging to him with both her arms and legs. Naruto caught her reflexively, holding her by the thighs as she clung to him. The rest of the group looked on, with Ino and Sakura both clearly irked by the scene. The girl was Rei, an old acquaintance of Naruto's, who was there to sell something crafted by her father. Their reunion was full of laughter, with Rei blushing furiously at being so close to Naruto. Despite her excitement, it seemed Naruto was as oblivious as ever, concerned only with her reddened face, not realizing it was due to her obvious crush. The scene stirred jealousy in both Ino and Sakura, who tried to conceal their irritation, but it was too late, the tension was already thick in the air. As introductions were made, Rei clung tighter to Naruto's arm, marking her territory with a smug look. Meanwhile, Asuma noticed Ino's discomfort and teasingly asked if she was jealous. Ino, defensive as always, denied any such thing, claiming her heart still belonged to Sasuke. Yet, her fastened pace and blushing face told a different story. Hana, overhearing, chuckled softly, amused by the dynamics between the girls. Even Sasuke, indifferent to most things, allowed a small smirk to slip, clearly enjoying the fact that the attention of his usual fangirls was elsewhere for once. Soon, the group arrived at Kuro Agashi's grand estate, where they were warmly greeted. Kuro handed Asuma a scroll with payment and then inquired which of them could inspect the quality of his latest weapon. Before anyone could respond, Naruto stepped forward confidently, shocking everyone. He declared himself a qualified artisan, a revelation that none of his teammates had expected. The elderly Kuro's eyes widened in surprise, especially when Naruto revealed his connection to the prestigious, albeit now defunct, Kushuku clan, a clan known for their masterful weapon-making. Kuro was even more impressed when he realized Naruto was the creator of a famous blade, Rekka, which had garnered a reputation in the land of lightning. He recounted tales of a young woman, now called the Blaze Mistress, who had used Rekka to create a fire tornado. Naruto smiled softly at the news, proud that the blade he forged had found such a capable wielder. After completing their business, the group left the estate. As they walked, Hana couldn't help but ask why Naruto had kept his artisan skills a secret. Naruto, with his trademark fox-like grin, simply shrugged and said they never asked. His nonchalant attitude irked the Jonin, but there was little they could do but laugh it off. Still, the surprise of Naruto's hidden talents left the group with more questions. Asuma probed further, wondering what else Naruto had kept hidden from them. But Naruto, ever the shinobi, deflected the question cleverly, reminding them that secrecy was an essential part of being a ninja. He hinted at the upcoming Chunin exams, sparking curiosity about just how much the boy knew and what else he was capable of. The conversation shifted as they prepared for the next leg of their journey. Rei, still clinging to Naruto, asked if she could accompany them to their next destination, Tenzaku Town. Though Asuma was hesitant, Naruto, ever eager to help, volunteered to carry her. His offer left Rei blushing deeply at the thought, and though Asuma doubted Naruto's boast of being able to carry multiple people without slowing down, Sakura begrudgingly confirmed that Naruto's stamina was nearly limitless. This revelation flustered Sakura as her mind wandered to places she didn't want to admit, much to Rei's delight. With the awkward tension still lingering, the group set off once more. Naruto knelt down, allowing Rei to hop onto his back, her blush deepening as she settled in. The two other girls, Sakura and Ino, couldn't help but glare. In their own ways, both felt envious, but they followed along, their own inner conflicts and jealousies simmering beneath the surface. As they raced toward Tenzaku Town, Naruto's strength and secrets loomed larger in their minds. It became clear to his teammates that they had only scratched the surface of who Naruto really was. His cheerful, dense exterior hid depths they had yet to fully understand. With each passing moment, it seemed Naruto had more surprises in store, and the upcoming Chunin exams were bound to reveal just how much he had grown. The woods were dark, the night air cool and calm as the crackling campfire illuminated the small clearing where the group sat. The smell of roasted meat and vegetables filled the air, and Rei, eating heartily, couldn't help but compliment Naruto. "Wow, Naruto-kun, your cooking is even better than I remember," she said between bites, her smile wide and genuine. Naruto grinned, a bit bashful at the praise. "Thanks," he replied simply, but the warmth in his voice was evident. Ino, savoring her own portion, chimed in. "Damn, who knew you'd be such a good cook, Naruto," she said, a mix of surprise and admiration in her tone. Naruto, never one to boast, gave a casual explanation. "Besides Ichiraka ramen, no one really cooked for me, so I had to learn. I couldn't eat ramen all the time," he added, chuckling lightly. But the offhand comment stirred something in the others. A shadow of sadness crept across the faces of those listening. The unspoken loneliness behind his words left a pang in their hearts. Sasuke, always quick with a smirk and a jab, broke the tension. "Achan. You'll make a great wife one day, Dobe," he said mockingly, glancing over at Naruto with a smirk. Naruto laughed, brushing it off. "Sorry, team, but I'm not marrying you," he replied, his grin widening. Sasuke's smirk faltered slightly, and for a moment, the stoic Uchiha's face turned a deep shade of red. As the light-hearted banter continued, Rei brought up something that had been puzzling her. "Naruto-kun, in your letter, you mentioned your Jonin was a man, Kakashi something. So why do you have Hana-san now?" she asked, genuinely curious. Naruto opened his mouth to answer but paused, an amused look crossing his face as he considered how to explain the situation. In another part of the world, far away from the peaceful campfire, Kakashi was in a private room at a luxurious spa resort. He sat on the floor, his legs pulled tightly to his chest, rocking back and forth. His usually calm and unreadable expression was now one of sheer horror. "That was just a dream," Kakashi muttered to himself, his voice shaking. "A bad, horrible dream." He shuddered at the memory of a recent accident during a mission, one that involved Madame Shijimi's rear, a depilation cream, and his Sharingan. Unfortunately, his uncovered eye had recorded the entire traumatic experience, burning it into his memory forever. He could never forget, no matter how much he wanted to. Back at the campfire, Naruto finished his explanation with a devious grin, leaving the rest of the team suspicious yet slightly disturbed. "Let's just say he's needed somewhere else," Naruto said cryptically, his smile a little too wide, causing everyone to inch away, unsure whether to laugh or be concerned. "Alright, It's time for bed, Hana announced, stepping in to break up the lingering awkwardness. We need rest if we're going to make it through tomorrow's journey. But as everyone began to settle in, Rei spoke up, her voice a little too innocent. I forgot my tent, she said, looking around with wide eyes. Forgot? Ino thought to herself, her eyebrow twitching. Yeah, right. Naruto, always eager to help, immediately offered a solution. Mine's big enough for 2 people, he said with a smile. You can sleep with me. At that moment, a ripple of tension spread through the camp. Rei blushed furiously, and so did Sakura and Ino, their eyes darting between each other and Naruto. For a moment, the air was thick with unspoken emotions. I don't think that's appropriate, Hana said firmly, stepping in to stop things before they got out of hand. But Naruto, oblivious to the undercurrents of rivalry, looked confused. I'll be sleeping, though. What could happen while I'm asleep? He asked innocently, clearly not understanding the implications. Sakura's eyes widened, and her face turned an even deeper shade of red. No. She's a girl, you idiot, she snapped. She can sleep in my tent. But Sakura-chan, your tent's too small for 2 people, Naruto said, scratching his head. Sakura stammered, the blush creeping up her neck. Well, then I'll sleep in your tent, she declared, surprising herself and everyone else. Her face was now a vivid red, but she pressed on. I'm your teammate, so it's fine. But you're a girl too, Sakura-chan. Naruto said, still baffled by the situation. Rei, not missing a beat, jumped back into the fray. I can sleep with Naruto-kun, she said, her voice dripping with sweetness. Her declaration left everyone, except for Naruto, wide-eyed. Both Ino and Sakura shot her death glares, their frustration at the situation palpable. Naruto, meanwhile, tilted his head to the side, completely oblivious to the significance of it all. Is it really that important where I sleep? He wondered, genuinely confused. Before the brewing storm could escalate, Asuma, ever the level-headed jonin, intervened. Enough, he barked. Naruto, you'll sleep in Sakura's tent. Sakura and Rei will sleep in yours. That's final. His tone left no room for argument, and he quickly assigned the night's watch shifts before disappearing into his own tent. Naruto, still a bit puzzled, shrugged. All right then, he said, his usual carefree nature kicking in as he headed to Sakura's tent. As the others settled in, the girls weren't as quick to let things go. Rei's bold declaration had struck a nerve, especially with Sakura. Damn it. We were so close to getting alone time with Naruto. Her inner self screamed, fists raised in frustration. We should kick Asuma's ass, Shanaru. Rei, lying down next to Sakura in Naruto's tent, wasn't about to let things rest either. I won't lose to you, she said quietly but firmly, breaking the silence. Her tone was competitive, her eyes sharp in the dim light. You might have an advantage, but I won't give up on Naruto-kun. Sakura's heart skipped a beat. I like Sasuke-kun, not Naruto, she stammered, feeling the heat rise in her cheeks. Rei smirked knowingly. Then why were you acting like a jealous girlfriend just now, she asked, her words hitting their mark. Sakura's eyes widened, caught off guard. Either way, it's better for me, less competition for his heart. Rei added before closing her eyes to sleep. Sakura lay there, staring up at the tent ceiling, her mind racing. Why did I act like that? She wondered, her thoughts swirling. The night stretched on, but sleep didn't come easily for her as she wrestled with the truth Rei had so bluntly pointed out. By noon the next day, the group arrived at Tenzaku Town, a bustling place with narrow streets lined with shops, inns, and the occasional gambling house. The sun hung high in the sky, casting long shadows as they stood at the town's outskirts. Naruto, wearing his usual bright smile, turned to Rei. Well, It's where we part again, he said softly, though a hint of sadness lingered in his voice. Rei looked at him, her expression mirroring his. Will I see you again? She asked, her voice tinged with melancholy, as if afraid of the answer. Naruto's smile brightened. Of course. Maybe next time, you can visit me in Konoha, he said with a hopeful tone. His words seemed to lift her spirits slightly, but the impending goodbye still weighed heavily on her. Before Rei could respond, Hana's voice interrupted the moment. We have to go, Naruto, she said, reminding them both that the mission still awaited. Her tone was gentle but firm, a jonin keeping her team on task. Rei nodded, though reluctantly. Well then, see ya later, Naruto-kun, she said, her voice lightening as she made her move. With a sudden burst of confidence, she ran up to him, wrapping her arms around him in a quick hug. Before Naruto could react, Rei stood on her tiptoes and kissed him lightly on the cheek. Then, without waiting for a response, she turned and dashed away, her cheeks flushed and a smile playing on her lips. Naruto stood there, slightly frozen, his hand instinctively reaching up to touch the spot where Rei had kissed him. A faint blush crept onto his face, his mind struggling to process the sudden gesture. Was all he managed, still lost in his thoughts. Behind him, both Ino and Sakura watched the scene unfold, their gazes sharp as daggers, shooting angry glares at the girl who had just stolen that fleeting moment with Naruto. They didn't say anything, but the tension between them crackled in the air. The competition for Naruto's attention, even if unspoken, was becoming harder to ignore. Naruto, oblivious as always, quickly shook off his embarrassment. Let's go, he called, snapping back into mission mode as he leapt into the trees, eager to get moving. He was already focused on the task ahead, the kiss fading from his thoughts as quickly as it had happened. The rest of the team followed behind him, but the lingering jealousy from Ino and Sakura wasn't so easy to shake. As they sped through the trees, the quiet rustling of the forest couldn't drown out the unspoken rivalry building between the two kunoichi. The sun had long set by the time Naruto and his team finally arrived at Takumi no Sato. Landing lightly on the village's main street, Naruto glanced around with a nostalgic look in his eyes. We're here, he said, his voice calm but filled with a quiet fondness. Ino, panting and struggling to catch her breath, bent over with her hands on her knees. Finally. She groaned between heavy breaths. The non-stop running had clearly taken its toll on her. You really should train more, Naruto said, a teasing smirk on his face, earning a sharp glare from Ino, who wasn't in the mood for his cheeky comments. Sakura, ever practical, was already looking ahead. So, how are we supposed to find this Hagawa person? She asked, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar village. Naruto, catching sight of a familiar face in the distance, smiled. We're going to ask. Without waiting for further explanation, he ran off toward the man. Hey, Doc. The older man turned at the sound of his name, his face lighting up as he saw Naruto approaching. Naruto, my boy. What brings you here? He asked warmly, clearly happy to see him. I'm here. On a mission, Naruto explained. Ah, where are my manners? But before he could continue, the man chuckled, raising his hands in mock surrender as Naruto glared playfully at him. This is Hana Inuzuka, our jonin, Sasuke Uchiha, the team, and Sakura-chan, Naruto gestured toward his teammates. And that's Asuma Sarutobi, sensei of Team 10, and Ino Yamanaka. And this is, Naruto scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Doc, I don't remember your name. The doctor laughed heartily. Hiro Katagawa. I'm the head doctor of the village, so everyone just calls me Doc. Nice to meet you all, he said with a friendly bow. Naruto, eager to get the mission underway, didn't waste any time. We're looking for a guy named Hagawa. Doc Hiro chuckled again, clearly amused. You're renting out your house to him, and you don't even know his name? Naruto's eyes widened, his face paling as the realization hit him. And Myra's returned 3 days ago, Hiro added, smirking knowingly. Naruto's knees gave out, and he dropped to the ground, groaning. Ugh. I'm dead. Hiro patted him on the shoulder reassuringly. It won't be that bad. Come on, stand up. You've got a mission, right? Ino, still catching her breath, looked at Naruto with curiosity. Wait, how does Naruto have a house here? Hiro raised an eyebrow. You really don't know much about him, do you? Naruto here is a hero of Takumi no Sato. Look around, everyone here is alive because of him. Naruto blushed and scratched his head again, clearly uncomfortable with the praise. I didn't do that much. As humble as ever, I see, Hiro said with a smile. Come on, let's go see Kenta. As they started walking, the group noticed the attention Naruto was attracting. Villagers smiled and waved, clearly recognizing him. The team followed Hiro, but their journey was interrupted by a girl, around 2 years older than the genin, who approached shyly. She was beautiful, with long brown hair, dark eyes, and a soft, heart-shaped face. Her figure was athletic but feminine, clad in tight jeans and a black t-shirt. En Naruto-sama, she stammered, her face flushed with nerves. Naruto blinked, taken aback by the honorific. Please, just Naruto. I don't like the whole sama thing. I'm not important enough for that, he said with a dismissive wave. The girl blushed deeper and nodded quickly. Then Naruto-ke-kun? Naruto smiled, nodding his approval. The girl, who introduced herself as Shirori, glanced behind her nervously, where her friends stood giggling and whispering. Taking a deep breath, she pulled out a letter, her hands trembling slightly. I want you to have this, she said, bowing her head as she held the letter out in front of her. Naruto bent down a bit, trying to meet her eyes. A letter? He asked, his tone soft. You know, you can just talk to me. I won't judge you. Shiori's blush deepened, and she shifted uncomfortably under his gaze. Hiro stepped in, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto, sometimes it's easier for people to express themselves in writing. You should take it, that way, you'll show her respect. Naruto, always respectful, nodded. Okay. He took the letter with a smile. Should I read it now or? No. Shirori blurted, panicking. I mean, it'd be better if you read it when you're alone, she said quickly, glancing nervously at Ino and Sakura, who were both glaring at her. Naruto nodded solemnly, his hand resting over his heart. You have my word. Uzumaki Naruto never breaks a promise. Shirori, clearly relieved, bowed again before running back to her group of giggling friends. Naruto scratched his head, confused by the whole encounter. Weird girl, he muttered, stashing the letter away as he started walking again. Behind him, Ino and Sakura exchanged furious glares, their silent rivalry intensifying. The rest of the walk to the Kushuku clan house was quiet, but soon enough, they stood before a large wooden door. Naruto knocked, and soon after, a woman in her 30s opened it. She had long black hair and dark eyes, wearing an apron and holding a wooden spoon. Naruto-kun, she exclaimed, pulling him into a warm hug. What are you doing here? Hey, Makoto-san. We're here on a mission, Naruto said, only to get a light smack on the head with the spoon. He rubbed his head, grumbling. What did I say about calling me Makoto-san, Naruto-kun? She scolded with a sweet smile that held an undertone of danger. Naruto sighed, laughing awkwardly. Right, sorry. After the introductions, the group was invited inside. However, the peace didn't last long. No sooner had they stepped into the house than a loud voice rang out. Naruto-kun. Before anyone could react, a girl tackled Naruto to the ground. It was Mira, a beautiful young woman who immediately straddled his lap. "I missed you so much," she said sweetly, leaning down close enough that her nose nearly brushed his. Naruto, his face flushed bright red, stammered, "Could you get off me, Mira?" Mira, ever the tease, pressed closer, her body practically melting into his. "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" she whispered, a devilish grin spreading across her face as she leaned in, her lips dangerously close to his. Just before she could steal a kiss, however, she was forcefully yanked away by a furious Ino, who glared daggers at her. "Who the hell do you think you are, trying to mouth-rape Naruto?" Ino shouted, her temper flaring. Mira, not one to back down, glared right back. "Who the hell do you think you are, cutting in on my Naruto-kun time? I was this close to scoring a kiss," she snapped, her eyes blazing with indignation. "I'm his friend." Ino stammered, blushing. "And I won't let you use him like that." Mira smirked, her voice turning playful yet sharp. "Who are you trying to convince, me or yourself? I don't want to use him. I care about him. And as his friend, you should be happy for him instead of acting like a jealous girlfriend." Ino, caught off guard, blushed furiously and clammed up, while Naruto was helped up by a concerned Sakura. As Mira caught sight of Sakura, her expression hardened. "What is she doing here?" "Mira!" Makoto scolded from the kitchen. Naruto sighed, already tired of the drama. "She has a name, Mira. Sakura is my teammate, and we're on a mission. She's here because she's supposed to be." His voice was firm, and Mira, though still pouting, backed down. Before she could retort, another voice broke through the tension. "Ni-sama." A little girl, no older than 8, ran into the room and launched herself into Naruto's arms. "Kira!" Naruto exclaimed, lifting her easily. "You're growing up so fast." As the warmth of the family reunion settled in, Kenta, Mira and Kira's father, finally entered the room. He greeted Naruto with a firm handshake. "It's good to see you again, Naruto. I take it you're here for my latest work?" "Yup." Naruto beamed, happy to see the man again. Introductions were made, and Kenta apologized for the blade not being ready yet. It would take until the following morning to finish. The group was invited to stay the night, with Makoto insisting they sleep at the Kushuku clan house, which Naruto had apparently lent to the family. "You'll stay with us tonight," Makoto said with a smile. "After all, this is Naruto-kun's house, even if we're the ones living here. And Naruto, the main bedroom is always ready for you," she added with a knowing look, making Naruto scratch his head awkwardly. The team graciously accepted Makoto's hospitality. Mira, still grumbling under her breath, was tasked with showing the Konoha group to their rooms. "Be nice, or else." Makoto warned her with a pointed glance as they made their way down the hall. As the others settled in, Naruto was eager to get some fresh air and clear his head. "I'm going to visit the old man," he said casually to the group before stepping out with Doc Hero. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, but didn't follow. As the door closed behind him, Hana's attention was caught by a framed photograph sitting on the fireplace. It showed an elderly man with Naruto, both grinning widely, looking very close. "Who's this with Naruto?" she asked, curiosity getting the better of her. Kenta approached, his expression softening as he looked at the picture. That man was Hiroshi Kushuku, the original owner of this house. He and Naruto were as close as family, closer, even. They shared everything, from pranks to serious conversations. Naruto spent a lot of time here in Takumi no Sato because of Hiroshi. Sakura, her voice quiet, recalled something Naruto had mentioned before. "Naruto told me about him once, when we were in Nami no Kuni." "What happened to him?" Kenta's expression grew somber. "Hiroshi was killed by a missing nin." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in before continuing. Naruto later killed the man responsible. Sasuke, who had been silent until now, scoffed. Pathetic hypocrite. He always lectures me about revenge, but he got his. There was an unmistakable edge to his voice, resentment, perhaps even bitterness. Makoto, who had re-entered the room from the kitchen, fixed Sasuke with a sharp look. You misunderstand something, young man. Naruto didn't kill that man for revenge. Her voice was stern, yet there was a deep respect underlying her words. He wanted to. He hesitated, because revenge wasn't what Hiroshi would have wanted for him. Naruto said that if he killed that man in anger, it would dishonor everything Hiroshi stood for, the sacrifices made by those who helped him, the people who loved him. He killed the missing Nin because that man was a threat to all of us here in the village. He did it to protect us. Sasuke fell silent, Makoto's words lingering in the air. Something in her speech resonated with him, though he wouldn't admit it. He mulled over her explanation, a faint frown tugging at the corners of his mouth. Would you want me to be happy too, Sama, Ka-chan? He thought bitterly, the question gnawing at him. Let's go, Myra's voice broke through the silence as she led them to their rooms. The tension remained palpable, but no one said another word as they filed away. A little over an hour later, the team had gathered for dinner in the large dining room of the Kushuku house. The meal was rich and delicious, Makoto's cooking proving as warm and generous as her hospitality. The conversation had been light, but it shifted when Asuma, in his usual relaxed way, brought up something everyone had been wondering. Naruto, did you open that letter from the girl earlier? Myra's attention snapped to Naruto at the mention of the letter, her fork pausing mid-bite. What letter? She demanded, eyes narrowing. Naruto, always a little awkward in situations like these, scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Yeah, I opened it, he admitted. Sasuke, ever the instigator, interjected bluntly. It was a love letter. Myra's reaction was immediate. What? She yelled, standing up so fast that her chair nearly toppled over. Naruto blinked, caught off guard by her outburst. How did you know it was a love letter, team? He asked, looking at Sasuke. Sasuke smirked, clearly enjoying Naruto's discomfort. How did you not know? Naruto huffed. Sorry, I'm not some emo pretty boy like you. It was the first time anyone's ever confessed to me. His eyes flicked briefly to Sakura, but neither she nor Ino, who had been equally silent, jumped in to defend Sasuke this time. Their own feelings toward the situation were far more complicated. Mira, still fuming, wasn't letting it go. Who was it? She demanded, her jealousy clearly spiking. Before things could get more heated, Kenta intervened with a firm tone. Sit down and eat, Mira. Though she grumbled under her breath, Mira obeyed, shooting Naruto one last glare before picking up her fork again. After a few more minutes of relative calm, Asuma spoke up again, clearly curious. So, did you talk to her after that? Naruto nodded. Yeah, we talked for a bit. She's really nice, honestly, any guy would be lucky to have her. His words were simple, but sincere. Sakura felt a lump form in her throat, one she couldn't quite explain. Pushing it down, she forced herself to speak, though her voice trembled slightly. Does that mean you accepted her feelings? Naruto, sensing the unease in her question, quickly shook his head. No, Sakura-chan. I'm not just any guy. Besides, I need someone who can keep me grounded when I get too carried away, someone who can, hold me down when my head gets too light. He laughed awkwardly, but there was a thoughtful undertone to his words. Sasuke, ever observant, smirked. That sounds like Sakura. Naruto, oblivious to the subtext, chuckled. Actually, I know a few people who fit that description. There's Sakura-chan, Ayam-chan, Mira, Ino, and even Hinata, once she gets more confident. He smiled fondly as he listed the names, unaware of the effect his words were having on the blushing girls. But that doesn't mean I'm forcing myself into anything, Naruto continued, his expression more serious. They're my friends, and I wouldn't want to mess that up by being selfish. Besides, it's not like any of them like me that way. He finished his meal, standing up. Thanks for the food, Makoto-san, but I'm beat. I'm gonna head to bed. Just as he turned to leave, a small voice piped up. Wait, Nisama. Before you go to sleep, can you sing for me? Kira, who had been quietly watching the conversation unfold, looked up at Naruto with big, pleading eyes. Naruto hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. I don't have a guitar. I have the one you gave me. Wait here. Kira said excitedly, running off to fetch it. The moment she left the room, Naruto collapsed dramatically onto his knees. How does she do that? It's like she has the strongest genjutsu in the world, he muttered, earning a chuckle from Kenta. You think it's bad now? Wait until you get a daughter or a girlfriend, then it's impossible to resist, Kenta said, laughing. Sakura, intrigued by this new side of Naruto, glanced at him curiously. I didn't know you could sing. Sasuke, much to everyone's surprise, responded before Naruto could. I knew. The team turned to look at him, shock evident on their faces. I saw him once. He was in disguise, singing at some bar. Before anyone could react further, Kira came running back into the room, clutching an acoustic guitar. Here. Please, Nisama. Naruto sighed in defeat, accepting the guitar from the excited girl. All right. Which one do you want me to sing? Kira smiled brightly. The newest one. Naruto blanched, his face paling slightly. And maybe you'd prefer one of the old songs? I've never sung the new one in front of anyone before. His gaze flickered briefly to Sakura, his nervousness palpable. Please, Nisama. Kira begged, her eyes wide and pleading. Naruto sighed again, but couldn't resist her. Okay, he muttered, positioning the guitar. Taking a deep breath, he began to play, his voice soft but steady as the song filled the room. As Naruto's voice echoed softly through the room, Sakura sat frozen, her heart pounding as she listened to the lyrics. His words, they weren't just a song. They felt like a confession. Images from their time together flashed in her mind, how he had looked at her on Tazuna's roof, the unwavering kindness he always showed her, the way he supported her, even when she hadn't deserved it. For all my life. Her face flushed a deep red as the realization hit her. He hadn't just been singing to Kira. Those words, those feelings, they were meant for her. The weight of it all left her breathless, her chest tight as her mind raced. Could it be? Does he really love me? When the song ended, Kira's eyes sparkled with delight. That was awesome, Nisama, she exclaimed, clapping her hands. Naruto smiled awkwardly, clearly embarrassed. Hee, thanks, Kira-chan. But now I'm really tired, so I'm going to bed, he said, quickly making his escape from the room, his face still flushed from the performance. Kira immediately followed after him, calling out, Wait, Nisama. Can I sleep with you tonight? The room fell silent as Naruto and Kira disappeared, leaving behind a thick, unspoken tension. Mira, still fuming, stood up suddenly. If you think you're going to win Naruto-kun's heart without a fight, main Uchiha fangirl, then you're sorely mistaken, she snapped at Sakura, before storming out of the room herself. Asuma leaned back in his chair, chuckling softly. Well, Pops was right. You can't stay bored around that boy. Hana nodded in agreement, already rising from her seat. Yeah, we should all get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll restock, and once Naruto approves the blade, we'll leave. Soon, only Sakura, Makoto, and Kenta were left behind in the dining room. Kenta excused himself, kissing his wife's cheek before heading off to work. "I'll be up all night in the workshop, so don't wait for me." Sakura, feeling restless, turned to Makoto. "If it's not too much trouble, could I help you clean up? I'm not really sleepy yet." Makoto smiled warmly. "Of course. The help would be appreciated." They moved to the kitchen, working side by side in a comfortable silence for a few minutes. After a while, Makoto broke the quiet. "You know," she said, her voice thoughtful, "when Mira first met Naruto, she only had a crush on him. He rescued her from some thugs, and I think she just admired him. But after spending time together, I believe she truly fell in love with him. She's a bit rough around the edges, but she's a good girl at heart. That's why she's so defensive around you and Ino. She sees you both as competition." Sakura's cheeks reddened, her heart skipping a beat. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "Ino and we both like Sasuke-kun." Makoto raised an eyebrow, a small, knowing smile tugging at her lips. "Oh really?" she teased. "From what I saw during dinner, both you and Ino were sneaking glances at Naruto, not Sasuke. You both seemed pretty nervous when you thought Naruto accepted that girl's confession. And don't get me started on how you reacted and Mira almost kissed him." Sakura's face turned scarlet, her mind racing as she tried to form a coherent response. I mean. Makoto laughed softly. "It's okay, dear. You don't have to explain yourself. But let me ask you this, what is it that you like about Sasuke?" Sakura paused, caught off guard by the question. "Well, he's cool." Makoto's smile was kind but knowing. "You mean cold to everyone but Naruto?" Sakura hesitated. And he's good looking." "Naruto's not too shabby, either," Makoto pointed out, chuckling lightly. "And he's strong." Sakura added, a bit more defensively. "As strong as Naruto?" Makoto asked, raising an eyebrow. Sakura fell silent, unsure of how to respond. After a moment, she sighed. "When we were younger, Sasuke was the coolest guy in the class. Then, after his family was killed, he was always so sad, and I wanted to make it better for him." Her voice grew softer, her eyes distant. "I don't even know when I started crushing on him. I broke off my friendship with Ino because of it. And now, the idea of liking someone else feels like admitting that all that time was wasted." Makoto's expression softened with understanding. "Change isn't always a bad thing, Sakura. Liking someone for their looks or their tragic past isn't the best foundation for a relationship. Trust me on that." She paused, then added, "You're still young. You don't need to decide anything right now, but when you do, you need to make sure it's a choice your heart agrees with. Liking someone means accepting their flaws as much as their strengths." Sakura blinked, absorbing her words. "Why are you telling me this? Wouldn't it be better for you if I just stayed focused on Sasuke and left Naruto for Mira?" Makoto chuckled. "You don't know much about the Uzumaki line, do you?" She shook her head with a fond smile. "What I want doesn't matter. What matters is what Naruto wants. And from what I can tell, that boy is in love with you." She gave Sakura a meaningful look. "He even wrote that song for you, though he probably hasn't realized it himself yet. But trust me, dear, it was a confession." Sakura's heart skipped a beat. I didn't know." Her voice wavered as she spoke. "I've treated him so badly for so long. Even if I wanted to, could I really deserve him?" Makoto's smile softened, her voice gentle. "Everyone makes mistakes, Sakura. What matters is what you do from here. Whether you pursue Sasuke or Naruto, just be honest with yourself. And if you choose Naruto, well, that boy has a big heart. He'll forgive you." Sakura smiled weakly, feeling a mix of emotions, guilt, hope, confusion. "Thank you, Makoto-san." "Anytime, dear," Makoto replied warmly. "Now, you should get some rest. Tomorrow's another day." With that, Sakura nodded and headed off to bed, her mind swirling with everything that had happened that night, and everything she still had to figure out. In a darkened room, lit only by faint candlelight, a shadowy figure spoke with a cold, commanding voice. "Do you understand your job?" The question, though simple, held an air of menace. Across the room, a man stood tall and imposing. His muscular frame cast a long shadow, and his black hair, cut short, contrasted sharply with the small goatee on his chin. He wore a red blouse under a black vest, paired with black shinobi-style pants and sandals. Around his neck hung an IWA Hitai 8, the symbol of his village crossed out with a deep slash, marking him as a missing nin. He sneered slightly, his demeanor one of cold indifference. "What is there to not understand?" he replied, his tone low and rough. "You want him dead, and you're hiring me. What about the rest of them?" A second figure, cloaked in the shadows, answered with chilling calm. "Collateral damage," they said. "Kill them all. There are bounties on 2 of the others, and one of the younger ones could be sold for a considerable sum. Here's half the payment. You'll receive the rest when the job is complete." A bag of money slid across the table, landing with a soft thud at the man's feet. The missing nin glanced down at the payment with a smirk, his dark eyes gleaming with greed. "And the technique you mentioned?" Another figure stepped forward from the shadows, holding a scroll. "This jutsu will allow you and your team to hide from their eyes. Only those with our blessed vision will be able to see through it." As the figure moved fully into the light, the distinct pale eyes of the Hyuga clan became visible. The missing nin's grin widened. "Hyuga, huh?" he muttered, his interest piqued. He accepted the scroll, glancing over it briefly before tucking it away. "The job will be done," he said confidently, his voice hardening. "You've hired the right man for the job." The Hyuga figure's pale eyes gleamed in the low light. "We'll see. Don't fail us." With that, the conversation ended, and the shadowy figures melted back into the darkness, leaving the IWA missing nin alone with his thoughts. He tightened the loose Hitai around his neck, his mind already turning to the mission ahead. His targets, a group of Konoha shinobi, were young and supposedly strong. But to him, they were nothing more than obstacles. A twisted smile spread across his face. "Naruto Uzumaki, your days are numbered." With one last glance at the bag of money, he turned and walked out, his footsteps echoing in the dim, quiet room. The shadows swallowed the light, and with it, any trace of mercy. The noon sun bathed Takumi no Sato in warm light as Naruto and his team stood at the village gates, ready to depart. The small crowd gathered to see them off, and the atmosphere was filled with a bittersweet sense of farewell. Kira, Naruto's biggest admirer, clung to his side, her eyes wide with sadness. "Do you have to leave so soon, Nisama?" she asked, her voice soft and pleading. Naruto knelt down to hug her, his smile full of warmth and affection. "Yeah, but I'll visit whenever I can," he assured her, holding her tightly for a moment. "And you're always welcome to visit me in Konoha." As he released her from the hug, Naruto's smile brightened as he pulled something from his pocket. "Besides," he said, holding her wrist gently, "I have a present for you." He carefully slipped a delicate gold bracelet onto her wrist. The miniature pony charm attached to it sparkled in the sunlight, her favorite character from her beloved cartoons. Kira's face lit up with joy, her eyes brimming with excitement. "Thank you, Nisama," she squealed, hugging him tightly once more. Naruto chuckled and ruffled her hair affectionately, his heart swelling at her happiness. Next, Naruto turned toward Mira, who stood a little further back, her usual smirk replaced with something softer. In his hands, he held out a small box. "This is for you, Mira," he said, his voice almost shy as he offered it to her. Mira took the box eagerly, her curiosity piqued. When she opened it, her breath caught. Inside was a pair of exquisite white gold earrings, each studded with small, glittering diamonds. They were elegant, clearly crafted with care. "I was going to send them to you for your birthday," Naruto explained, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. "But, well, the mission to Nami no Kuni took longer than expected, and by the time I got back, it was too late. I worked really hard to make sure they were perfect. I hope you like them." Mira's eyes sparkled with emotion as she hugged Naruto tightly, her voice filled with gratitude. "Like them? I love them, Naruto-kun. Thank you so much." She pulled back just enough to kiss him on the cheek, on the opposite side where Rei had kissed him the day before, earning an embarrassed blush from Naruto. Behind him, both Ino and Sakura stiffened, glaring daggers at Mira. Their competitive frustration was obvious, especially when Mira turned around and flashed a triumphant victory sign at the two kunoichis. Both girls' eyebrows twitched in irritation, but neither said a word, though their silent rivalry was as clear as day. Naruto, ever oblivious to the undercurrents around him, turned to Kenta and Makoto with a warm smile. "It was nice seeing you again, Makoto-san, Kenta-san. I hope we can meet again soon," he said sincerely, bowing his head respectfully. "And say goodbye to Doc for me." "We will," Makoto said with a motherly smile, waving him off. "Be safe, Naruto-kun. You're always welcome here." Kenta nodded, his gruff but affectionate tone evident as he added, "Take care, kid. Don't be a stranger." Naruto grinned, waving as he stepped back toward his team. "See ya around, everyone." "Databeo," he called, his voice bright and full of energy as he leapt into the trees. His team followed, the breeze catching in their wake as they disappeared into the forest. As they ran, Ino and Sakura couldn't help but exchange one last glance, both still silently fuming over the cheeky victory Mira had claimed. But for now, their mission was calling, and Takumi no Sato, along with the fond memories of this visit, slowly faded into the distance behind them. 3 days later, as the morning sun bathed Kanya village in a warm glow, Naruto and his team stood before Kuro Agashir, admiring the craftsmanship of the katana Kenta had forged. Kuro held the blade with reverence, the sunlight reflecting off its flawless surface. "It's beautiful," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Naruto, standing beside him, nodded with a satisfied smile. "I know," he agreed. "It might be the best blade Kenta has ever made." There was a hint of pride in his tone, not for himself, but for the hard work of his friend. Kuro turned to them, gratitude etched across his face. "Thank you for your help," he said, his tone sincere. "I transferred the payment yesterday because I knew that the hero of Nami no Kuni would get the job done." Ino's eyes widened at the title. "Hero of Nami no Kuni?" she asked, her voice full of curiosity. Before Naruto could respond, Sasuke, leaning against a nearby tree with his arms crossed, cut in with his usual nonchalance. "He's talking about the dobe," Sasuke said, a slight smirk playing on his lips. "Naruto freed that country from a tyrant, helped rebuild the bridge, saved everyone Gato kidnapped, and even built an orphanage for the kids." Ino's jaw dropped in awe. "Ah, really?" she stammered, her respect for Naruto skyrocketing in that moment. She had known Naruto was tough, but hearing about his deeds in Nami no Kuni painted him in a new light. Naruto, uncomfortable with the praise, rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "I didn't do it to be called a hero," he muttered. "I just wanted to help those people. That's all." Kuro, sensing Naruto's humility, smiled warmly. "Nevertheless, please accept these," he said, handing Naruto a small case. Inside was a set of exquisitely crafted kunai, each with a red lining and the Uzumaki royal crest on both sides of the blade. On the handle of each kunai was an intricate seal, glowing faintly with chakra. Naruto blinked in surprise. I can't accept this, he said, taken aback by the extravagant gift. But Kuro was insistent. My nephew's fiancée was abducted by Gato, he explained, his voice softening as he recounted the painful memory. You saved her before that monster could lay his hands on her. I know you didn't do it for a reward, but please, take this. You not only saved her, but you brought my wedding gift to the couple safely. His gratitude was palpable, and the weight of his words hung in the air. Naruto hesitated, still unsure. I didn't do it alone, he protested, glancing at his teammates, trying to deflect the attention. Hana, standing nearby with her 3 dogs at her feet, gave him an encouraging smile. I think you should accept the gift, Naruto, she said kindly. After all, it was made especially for you. Naruto sighed, still reluctant but not wanting to offend Kuro. Well, all right. He finally caved in, bowing slightly. Thank you, Kuro-san. Kuro's smile widened. No, I thank you, Naruto. You've done more than you know. Asuma stepped forward, his tone signaling the end of their business. It's been a pleasure doing business with you, Kuro-san. But now, we've got to head back home. He motioned to the rest of the team, who nodded in agreement. Naruto gave one last wave, his new kunai securely tucked away, as the team bid their final goodbyes. See you around, Kuro-san. Naruto called as they turned to leave. Kuro waved back, his heart lighter than it had been in a long time. Safe travels, Naruto-kun. You're always welcome here. With that, Naruto and the team headed back into the trees, making their way back to Konoha. As they moved through the forest, the weight of the kunai at Naruto's side served as a quiet reminder of the bonds he had forged, not just with the people of Konoha, but with those whose lives he had touched along the way. Top of form, bottom of form, the team of Konoha ninja moved swiftly through the dense forest, the sound of the rushing river far below them. They ran along the cliffside, a treacherous path with a steep drop to the water 200 meters below. Naruto, always alert, suddenly stopped in his tracks. His senses, heightened by his Kenbun Shoku no Haki, picked up something: danger. Without hesitation, he held up a hand, signaling the others to stop. Why did you stop, Baka? Sakura asked, slightly annoyed, but her irritation quickly vanished when she saw the look on Naruto's face. We're surrounded, Naruto said quietly, his voice steady. His words immediately put everyone on high alert. Asuma's eyes narrowed, scanning the area. Everyone, be ready, he warned. They didn't have to wait long. From the tree line, figures emerged, one by one, until the clearing was filled with hostile shinobi. Their numbers were overwhelming, and they were clearly mercenaries. One of them, with a sneer on his face, stepped forward. Heh, I thought the client said they wouldn't sense us until it was too late, he muttered to his comrades. Well, there goes our trap, another one said, looking annoyed. Asuma, his tone authoritative, stepped forward. Who are you, and what do you want? His question was direct, though he already knew what kind of answer to expect. A creepy smile spread across the face of one of the mercenaries. Who we are doesn't matter. What we want is your death. Asuma's eyes darkened. Who hired you, and who's your target? The one who hired us is unimportant, another mercenary said with a twisted grin. But our main target is the blonde brat. The rest of you are just collateral damage. With the bounties on some of you and the money we'll get for selling the girls and the Uchiha, we're going to be rich. Naruto's expression darkened as the mercenaries laughed. But then, one of the men, his voice dripping with malice, added, although, I think we should give the girls a test ride before we sell them. Sakura and Ino instinctively took a step back, their faces pale with fear. For Sakura, the situation brought back haunting memories of the life-threatening encounters in Nami no Kuni. But Naruto, hearing the disgusting words, felt his anger boil over. His expression hardened, and with swift precision, he pulled out one of his new kunai, the ones Kuro had gifted him. With a flick of his wrist, he threw the kunai into the crowd of laughing mercenaries. Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Naruto exclaimed, and in an instant, dozens of kunai clones appeared, flying through the air. Half of the mercenaries, about 75 of them, were cut down before they even had time to react. Sasuke, standing beside Naruto, smirked at the impressive display. But there was no time to admire the technique. The rest of them are genin level at best, with maybe 5 chunins, Naruto said quickly. Sakura-chan, Ino, stay back and protect each other. His tone left no room for argument. Hana, standing ready with her Nin-ken, nodded. Fight to kill, and stay on your guard, she called out as she, Asuma, and Sasuke leapt into action, charging into the fray. Naruto wasted no time. He rushed toward the mercenaries, his body moving with deadly precision. His first target was a man directly in front of him. With a powerful jump, Naruto delivered a brutal kick to the man's face, sending him flying. As Naruto landed, he crouched to avoid a swing from another mercenary's katana and stabbed the attacker through the heart. Without pausing, he caught the falling katana and spun in a wide arc, cutting down 2 more mercenaries before parrying another blade with his kunai. With a quick stab to the head, he felled his next opponent. Sensing danger behind him, Naruto turned just in time to see 2 mercenaries sneaking up on Hana from her blind spot. Without hesitation, he threw the katana with deadly precision, the blade piercing both men's skulls and pinning them to a nearby tree. Without even looking, Naruto stabbed another man who had tried to attack him from behind. Did you really think you could sneak up on me? Naruto asked coldly, staring at the man in disgust. Pathetic. He channeled wind chakra into his kunai, slashing horizontally. The blade of wind not only bisected the man in front of him, but also cut through 4 more mercenaries who were standing behind him. Not far away, Sasuke was holding his own. He kicked off 2 mercenaries who had been trying to corner him, jumping back to gain some distance. His hands formed seals in quick succession. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu! Sasuke called out, unleashing a massive fireball that engulfed 3 enemies, reducing them to ash. But in the chaos, Sasuke didn't notice the man sneaking up behind him until it was almost too late. The attacker leapt at Sasuke, wielding a claw-like weapon infused with chakra, ready to strike him down. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock as the attack neared him. In the blink of an eye, Naruto appeared, shoving Sasuke out of harm's way and taking the hit. The claws slashed across Naruto's upper arm, tearing through his flesh. But Naruto didn't hesitate. He kicked the man in the back of his knee, grabbed him by the head, and with a quick twist, snapped his neck. Sasuke, scrambling to his feet, looked at Naruto with a mix of shock and concern. Are you okay, Dobe? Naruto glanced down at the wound on his arm, his expression growing grim. I think I'm poisoned. Help, a voice screamed from nearby. A minute earlier, with Sakura and Ino were holding their own, fighting off 1 mercenary together. The man had 2 kunai lodged in his shoulders, but he raised his sword to attack. Thinking quickly, Sakura threw her kunai, striking the man in the eye and killing him instantly. It was the second person Sakura had killed that day, and though the weight of it pressed on her, she had no time to dwell on it. They had to survive. Both girls were fighting desperately, knowing that Naruto, Sasuke, and the others were handling the bulk of the enemy forces. Ino, however, couldn't help but feel the disparity in strength between herself and her comrades. Naruto and Sasuke were cutting down enemies with ease, and even Sakura had taken down an attacker quickly. Meanwhile, Ino had only managed to kill 1 man, and that was with Sakura's help. When did I become so weak? Ino thought bitterly, glancing at Sakura, who was now watching Naruto save Sasuke. I'm weaker than Sakura. Unfortunately, Ino's brief moment of self-doubt gave the enemy the opportunity he needed. A mercenary, unnoticed by the girls, charged at Ino with his katana raised high. On pure instinct, Ino thrust her kunai forward, stabbing the man in the chest. But it was too late. The force of the man's body barreling into her knocked both Ino and Sakura off balance, sending them tumbling over the edge of the cliff. In a desperate move, Sakura managed to grab hold of a small tree growing from the cliffside with one hand, while gripping Ino's wrist with the other. Dangling above the raging river below, Sakura tried to use her chakra to stick to the cliffside, but it was no use. The recent rain had made the surface too slick. The tree's roots groaned under the weight of both girls. "Help!" Sakura screamed, her voice full of panic. Her heart sank as she looked up to see one of the remaining mercenaries approaching, a cruel smirk on his face. He raised his broadsword, ready to finish them off. In that moment, Sakura made a decision. She channeled chakra into her arm and, with a burst of strength, threw Ino back onto solid ground, sacrificing herself as the tree's roots snapped. Sakura began to fall. The mercenary, seeing Sakura disappear over the cliff, turned his attention to Ino. He raised his sword high, preparing to strike her down. But before he could bring the blade down, a blur of orange slammed into him. Naruto tackled the man, both of them tumbling over the edge of the cliff. In midair, Naruto drove his kunai into the mercenary's side, the wind chakra slicing through his vital organs. As the man's body went limp, Naruto pushed off of him, propelling himself downward. Naruto's eyes locked onto Sakura, who was falling with her eyes closed, resigned to her fate. In a flash, Naruto wrapped his left arm around her, pulling her into a tight embrace. Sakura's eyes snapped open in shock, just as Naruto threw a kunai with an attached paper bomb at the river below. The explosion shattered the water's surface, softening their fall. Even as the poison coursed through his veins, making every movement painful, Naruto refused to let go of Sakura. They hit the water hard, but the impact was lessened by the blast. Struggling against the pain and the current, Naruto swam them both to the riverbank. "Are you okay, Sakura-chan?" Naruto asked, his voice strained, though he tried to keep it steady. He was panting heavily, the poison already working its way deeper into his system, but all that mattered to him in that moment was Sakura's safety. Sakura, her breath coming in ragged gasps, nodded weakly, her eyes wide with shock. "Why yeah, you saved me, again," she whispered, still trying to process everything that had just happened. Her heart raced as she realized how close she had come to death. "Thank you, Naruto," she added, her voice soft, though it trembled with the lingering fear. Naruto forced a grin despite the throbbing pain in his arm and the burning in his chest. "As long as you're safe, I'm fine," he said, but the strain was obvious now, his face pale. His body was beginning to weaken, the poison affecting him faster than he could have anticipated. Just as he was about to say more, a dark and menacing voice interrupted their brief moment of relief. "Then soon, you won't be okay, boy." Ino sat there, frozen, her mind struggling to process what had just happened. One moment she had been hanging off the cliff, clutching Sakura's hand, and the next, her friend had sacrificed herself to save her. Now, both Sakura and Naruto were gone, tumbling into the river below. For a brief, terrifying moment, the weight of everything crashed down on her. Sakura. Naruto. They had risked their lives for her. The shock and guilt pressed down on her chest, suffocating. But before she could fully break down, a cold voice interrupted her thoughts. "We have to go," Sasuke said sharply, his expression unreadable. When Ino didn't respond, still locked in her state of shock, Sasuke's patience wore thin. "Let's go, you stupid fangirl," he snapped, grabbing her elbow roughly and pulling her toward the rest of the group. The harshness of his words snapped Ino back to reality. Her eyes blinked rapidly, and she felt a wave of humiliation and anger wash over her, but she didn't resist. She allowed herself to be dragged toward Asuma and Hana. Hana's sharp eyes immediately took in the situation. "Where are Sakura and Naruto?" she asked urgently, noticing the absence of two of her comrades. "They fell into the river," Sasuke replied, his voice cold but edged with concern. "Naruto's poisoned. We have to find them." Both Hana and Asuma's eyes widened in alarm. "Poisoned?" Hana repeated, her mind racing. She knew what that could mean if they didn't find Naruto soon. Before they could formulate a plan, a voice, weak but still defiant, cut through the tense air. "It doesn't matter anymore," rasped one of the remaining mercenaries, slumped against a stone, his body riddled with injuries. Despite his wounds, the man wore a twisted grin. "Our boss is down there. If the river doesn't kill your precious little blonde hero, Moru will. He'll take his time with him, make it slow. That brat looks too much like that monster Namikaze for our boss to let him off easy." Sasuke's eyes darkened at the mention of Moru and the venom in the mercenary's words. Without hesitation, he walked up to one of the fallen mercenaries whose weapon Naruto had knocked aside, picking up the clawed blade, still glistening with poison. He stalked back toward the injured man, his movements deliberate and cold. Before anyone could stop him, Sasuke slammed the poisoned weapon into the man's shoulder, the sickening sound of metal piercing flesh echoing through the clearing. The man screamed in agony, his defiant grin replaced by fear. "Arg! You little! You'll die either way," Sasuke said, his voice eerily calm as he crouched down to face the man. "Tell us what we need to know, and it will be quick. Resist, and the poison will do its work. Your choice." The man's eyes widened with horror as the effects of the poison began to spread through his body. His breaths came in ragged gasps, and his resolve crumbled in the face of death. "Ack. Okay. Our boss is Moru of Shikuden. We were hired to kill the blonde boy," he confessed, his voice shaking. "By who?" Asuma demanded, stepping closer, his tone low and dangerous. The mercenary swallowed hard, his face paling as the poison worked its way through his bloodstream. "We were contacted by two guys from your civilian council in Konoha, but the real ones who hired us were 3 Hyuga elders. They gave us the poison and said even he wouldn't survive it. They called the rest of you collateral damage, said none of you were worthy of being part of the village anyway." His voice grew weaker, the poison taking its toll. "That's all I know. Please. I don't want to feel pain anymore." Sasuke's face was emotionless as he drew a kunai from his pouch. With a single, efficient movement, he threw it into the man's right eye, ending his suffering instantly. The clearing fell silent for a moment, the weight of the revelation hanging heavily in the air. The mention of the Hyuga elders and the civilian council filled everyone with a mix of dread and anger. There was something deeper and more dangerous going on behind the scenes, something that involved Naruto. Asuma's jaw tightened, but he knew they couldn't dwell on the implications just yet. "We need to go. We passed a path down the cliffside not too long ago. If we move fast, we can still find them," he said, urgency in his voice. Without another word, the group started moving again. Ino kept her distance from Sasuke, still reeling from how he had treated her. The way he had tortured the mercenary had been cold, brutal, and efficient, an unsettling reminder of the length Sasuke was willing to go. She didn't know whether to feel relieved that he was so determined to save their friends or terrified of how far he was willing to fall. Sakura's scream echoed through the clearing as she watched Naruto get brutally kicked in the ribs again by Moru. Her heart pounded in her chest, panic overtaking her. "What's going on?" she thought frantically, watching Naruto struggle. Naruto's stronger than this. But the poison coursing through his veins had weakened him, slowing his movements, leaving him vulnerable. Meanwhile, 10 mercenaries stood between her and her fallen teammate, blocking any chance of helping him. Moru, the IWA missing Nin, chuckled darkly, staring down at Naruto with disdain. Still stubborn enough not to scream, huh? He mocked, his voice filled with twisted satisfaction. The poison must have taken a toll on you by now, brat. His eyes gleamed with malice. Normally, I'd have killed you long ago, but since you look exactly like that bastard Yondaime Hokage. His words dripped with venom as he referred to Naruto's resemblance to his father. I'll make you suffer for the death of my brother. You bastard. With a chakra-enhanced kick, Moru sent Naruto flying across the riverbank, the force of the impact causing the blonde to cough up blood as he tumbled across the ground. Leave him alone, you monster. Sakura screamed, her voice trembling with desperation. She threw a kunai at Moru, but he caught it effortlessly, his reflexes swift and deadly. He threw it back with terrifying speed, and just as the kunai was about to strike Sakura, Naruto, struggling to move, managed to intercept it with a well-placed shuriken. Moru grinned, his eyes narrowing in sick delight. He. She must be important to you if you're forcing yourself through that kind of pain, he taunted. He glanced at his mercenaries and barked, well then, boys, let's show the brat just how much of a whore the girl will be when we sell her off, eh? The 10 mercenaries slowly advanced toward Sakura, their expressions twisted with cruel intent. Terror gripped Sakura's heart as she scrambled backward, her body shaking with fear. She stumbled and fell onto the ground, her back pressed against the cold earth, unable to escape. Leave her alone. Naruto's voice rang out, filled with fury and desperation. He struggled to his feet, every movement a testament to his indomitable will. I said leave her alone. His voice echoed through the clearing, filled with an overwhelming power. Suddenly, an unseen force radiated from Naruto, an unconscious wave of Houshoku no Haki, and it surged through the air like a tidal wave. The mercenaries advancing on Sakura froze, their eyes rolling back in their heads as they collapsed, one after another. The sheer pressure of Naruto's will overwhelmed them, leaving them all unconscious. Even Moru staggered, gasping for breath, left panting and disoriented by the unexpected attack. What the hell was that? Moru thought, his heart racing. He had never felt anything like it before. Naruto wasted no time. His body, still racked with pain from the poison, moved on pure instinct. He ran toward Sakura, placing himself between her and the downed mercenaries. Drawing his blade, he channeled his chakra through it, the blade humming with energy. Moha, he shouted, and a wave of golden fire erupted from his sword, roaring toward the enemies. The fire was massive, at least 5 times larger than what Naruto could normally generate within Raiha. The ground shook as the flames consumed the mercenaries, leaving only ash in their wake. Moru, however, survived, though not unscathed. The intense heat had cost him his right arm, which was now nothing but charred flesh. He staggered back, his body shaking with shock and pain. That fire. It was hotter than my strongest Shikuden. How is that possible? Naruto's breath was ragged as he turned his attention to Moru. Without hesitation, he performed a quick set of hand seals, infusing his katana with golden flames once more. Using Shunshin no Jutsu, Naruto blurred forward and tackled Moru to the ground, pinning him with the burning blade at his chest. I don't like killing people, Naruto said, his voice calm but cold, but there's only one punishment for men like you who intend to commit rape. So, please, die. Naruto's chakra flared as he pressed the blade deeper, the golden flames searing through Moru's chest. With a final pulse of chakra, Naruto didn't destroy the man's soul but ripped it from his body, ensuring his death was swift. As Moru's body slumped lifelessly, Naruto sealed it into a scroll out of habit, tucking it away before turning back to Sakura. He barely made it a few steps toward her before the pain caught up to him. His body, still ravaged by poison and exhaustion, gave out. He fell to his knees, coughing up more blood before collapsing onto his back. Naruto! Sakura screamed, rushing to his side, panic flooding her chest. She knelt down beside him, her hands shaking. Are you okay? Naruto, his breath shallow, gave her a weak smile, his eyes half-lidded. I told you, as long as you're safe. I'm okay, he rasped, though blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Just then, a familiar voice rang out from the distance. Sakura! Naruto! It was Hana's voice, filled with urgency. Sakura looked up, relief washing over her. Sensei? We're here, she screamed, waving her arms frantically. Moments later, Hana, Asuma, Sasuke, and Ino arrived, all breathless from their hurried search. They took in the scene, the scorched earth, the unconscious mercenaries, and Naruto lying on the ground with Sakura at his side. What happened? Asuma demanded, his eyes wide with concern. We were attacked, Sakura explained quickly, her voice shaky. Naruto killed them all, but he's poisoned. He's coughed up so much blood. We have to do something. Hana immediately knelt beside Naruto, her hands glowing with medical chakra as she began working to extract as much poison as possible. Make space. I need to work fast, but we need to get him back to Konoha immediately. Naruto's body tensed in pain as Hana's chakra worked to draw out the toxin. His eyes fluttered open, locking onto Asuma. Despite the agony coursing through him, he forced himself to speak. Nishoku Hyuga. Hitoru Hyuga, and Madashiro Hyuga, he said, his voice strained. They hired these guys. Kirito Musashi and Hiro Minoru were their link. Asuma's face hardened, his fists clenching. The Hyuga elders. He muttered darkly. Tell Gigi. Naruto coughed, wincing in pain. Tell him to take care of this, because if he doesn't, and I survive, I'll handle it. Uzumaki style. They came after my precious people. I won't let that slide. How do you know the names of the ones who ordered this? Asuma asked, his brows furrowed in confusion. Tell Gigi I used my sword. Naruto whispered, his voice growing weaker. He'll understand. Sasuke, standing nearby, his face tight with anger and confusion, stepped closer. Why? He asked, his voice low and tense. Why did you save me, Dobe? Naruto, despite his pain, managed a small laugh. Don't glare at me with those red eyes, team, he teased, his smile weak. So, you awakened those thieving eyes because I got hurt? You really do have the hots for me, huh? Sasuke's eyes widened, startled by the blonde's sharp observation. His Sharingan had indeed awakened, fueled by the desperation of seeing Naruto wounded. Naruto turned his head toward Sakura, placing a hand weakly over hers. Protect my innocence, Sakura-chan, he joked, though his voice was barely above a whisper. Sakura blushed, but her eyes were filled with tears. Baka, she muttered, her voice trembling. Sasuke, his frustration boiling over, clenched his fists. I'm serious, he shouted, his voice strained with emotion. Why did you save me? Naruto's smile faded, and he looked at Sasuke with sincerity. As painful as it is to admit, I think of you as a friend, team. You're one of my precious people. If I have to die to protect you or anyone else I care about, then so be it. Sasuke's fists trembled, but he said nothing, his mind racing with emotions he didn't understand. Sakura, her tears finally spilling over, grabbed Naruto's hand tightly. Don't talk like that, you idiot. You're not going to die, you hear me? Naruto's eyes fluttered again, growing heavier. You're screaming, in my ear, Sakura-chan, he mumbled, his voice fading. I'm not deaf, just, really tired. His voice trailed off as his body went limp, and his eyes closed. Naruto? Baka? Sakura shook him desperately. Naruto? Hana put a hand on Sakura's shoulder, stopping her. Every move is painful for him right now, Sakura, Hana said softly, her voice laced with urgency. I've done what I can to extract the poison, but we need to move fast if we want to save him. We have to get him back to Konoha now. Asuma, who had been watching the exchange in silence, knelt down to lift Naruto off the ground. But as soon as he tried, his face contorted in surprise and effort. Why is he so heavy? Sakura quickly moved to Naruto's side, unzipping his hoodie with trembling hands. He has seals on him, they're weight seals, she explained hurriedly. Naruto always trains with extra weight to build strength. I can release them. She went through a series of hand signs and placed her palm over Naruto's heart, where a seal was hidden under his hoodie. Kai, she shouted, and the seal dissipated. Then, she moved to Naruto's right shoulder, where another seal was visible. She repeated the same process, going through a different set of hand signs. Kai. As she released the second seal, the kanji symbols on his shoulder shifted from 8 to 0. The weight of Naruto's body lightened almost instantly, and Asuma was able to lift him with ease. Now I should be able to carry him, Asuma muttered, carefully positioning Naruto over his shoulders in a fireman's carry. But we need to move quickly. He's still in critical condition. What were those seals? Hana asked as she glanced down at Naruto's unconscious form, her curiosity piqued. Sakura hesitated, biting her lip. I can't say, Hana-sensei. Naruto entrusted me with that knowledge, and Hokage-sama knows about them too. He said the less people know about his seals, the better. I'm sorry. Asuma gave a brief nod. It's fine, Sakura. Naruto has a lot of secrets, and we don't have time to question them right now. We'll deal with it when we're safely back in Konoha. Hana, still working to stabilize Naruto's condition as best she could, gestured to her Ninken. We need to move fast. One of the Himura brothers will carry Ino. Sakura, jump onto one of them as well. We need to keep the pace up. Sakura nodded, wiping the tears from her eyes. She climbed onto one of Hana's Ninken, her mind still spinning from everything that had happened. Ino, who had been quiet and shaken since Naruto and Sakura fell, followed suit, settling onto the other Ninken's back. Both girls looked weary and pale, but there was no time for rest or recovery. Sasuke, standing nearby, clenched his fists tightly, his Sharingan still active. I can keep up, he said with his usual grunt, though his voice was strained with emotions he wasn't used to showing. Hana gave him a quick nod. Good. We can't afford to lose time. Let's go. With that, the team sprang into action, dashing through the forest at breakneck speed. Asuma carried Naruto, leading the charge, while Hana and her Ninken kept pace, ensuring that Sakura and Ino were secure. Sasuke ran alongside them, his red Sharingan spinning as he scanned the surroundings, alert for any more potential threats. The forest blurred around them as they pushed their bodies to the limit, racing against time to get Naruto back to Konoha before the poison claimed his life. The journey back to the village felt agonizingly slow, though in reality they moved faster than ever. The trees whipped past them, and the sound of their footsteps and heavy breathing was all that filled the otherwise quiet forest. Sakura's heart hammered in her chest, her thoughts consumed with worry for Naruto. His earlier words, about dying to protect his precious people, replayed in her mind, making her heart ache. Please, don't die, she thought, gripping the fur of Hana's Ninken tightly. You can't die, Naruto. You're too important to all of us, to me. Asuma, feeling the weight of the situation, looked down at Naruto's unconscious form slung across his back. Despite the boy's condition, Naruto had fought with everything he had to protect his friends, just as he always did. Asuma knew that Naruto was special, not just because of his heritage, but because of the strength of his heart. And that made the weight of his words about vengeance against the Hyuga elders even heavier. Gigi will need to hear about this immediately, Asuma thought. The situation with the Hyuga is worse than any of us realized. The hours passed in a blur as they neared Konoha, the gates finally coming into view. The moment they entered the village, Asuma signaled to one of the nearby Chunin guards. "Get medics to the gates immediately," he ordered, his voice grim. In seconds, a group of medics arrived, rushing to take Naruto from Asuma. They loaded him onto a stretcher, immediately assessing the damage caused by the poison. "We'll take it from here, Sarutobi-san," one of the medics said. "This poison looks advanced. We'll have to act quickly." As they whisked Naruto away toward the hospital, Sakura tried to follow, but Asuma gently stopped her. "You've done all you can for now, Sakura. Let the medics do their job." "But I have to be there," Sakura said, her voice shaking with emotion. "You will be," Asuma reassured her. "But first, we need to speak to the Hokage. There are things he needs to know." Sasuke, his usual stoic expression back in place, turned toward Asuma, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "HN," was all he said, though his thoughts were clearly elsewhere, still lingering on Naruto's earlier words and actions. Hana, her face still tense with concern, led the group as they made their way to the Hokage tower. The weight of their mission, and the betrayal they had uncovered, hung over them like a dark cloud. But there was no time to reflect or process their emotions. Not yet. They needed answers, and they needed to ensure Naruto's survival. As they approached the Hokage's office, the doors swung open. Inside, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, stood behind his desk, his wise and weathered face etched with concern as he looked at the group entering. "Asuma," Hiruzen greeted, his tone heavy with expectation. "Tell me what happened." Asuma stepped forward, his expression grim. "We were ambushed by mercenaries. Naruto was poisoned during the fight. But there's more, Hokage-sama. The mercenaries were hired by the Hyuga elders and linked to our own civilian council. They targeted Naruto specifically." Hiruzen's eyes narrowed, a dark storm of emotion brewing behind them. "The Hyuga elders," he muttered, clearly disturbed by the revelation. His old hands clenched the pipe he held. "What else?" "Naruto used his sword, and it allowed him to learn the names of those responsible," Asuma said. "He specifically mentioned Nishoku Hyuga, Hitoru Hyuga, and Madashiro Hyuga as the ones who orchestrated this. He said to tell you, Gigi, that if you don't handle this, he will, Uzumaki style." The Hokage's face hardened. "I see." And, Asuma continued, there was something else. He wasn't just concerned about himself. He made it very clear that if anything happened to his friends, Sakura, Sasuke, or Ino, he wouldn't let it go. The Hyuga elders crossed a dangerous line by involving them. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a deep, steadying breath, his expression unreadable as he processed the information. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I will handle this personally." His voice was calm, but the weight behind his words was unmistakable. Asuma nodded. "What should we do in the meantime?" "Go to the hospital," Hiruzen said firmly. "Stay with Naruto. I will deal with the Hyuga elders. But be prepared, Asuma. This situation may escalate further than we anticipated." Asuma and the others bowed before exiting the room, leaving the Hokage in deep thought. As they walked back toward the hospital, the weight of the situation still loomed heavy over them. Sakura's heart remained with Naruto, even as they made their way to his side. "Please, Naruto," she thought, her chest tight with emotion. "Don't leave us. Don't leave me." And as they entered the hospital, their thoughts were united in the same desperate hope, that Naruto Uzumaki would survive. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, arrived at Konoha Hospital in a hurry, his aged yet commanding presence filling the hall. His eyes immediately found the group of shinobi, Asuma, Hana, Sasuke, Ino, and Sakura, standing or sitting in tense silence outside the operating room. Sakura and Ino were both crying, unable to hold back their emotions any longer. What the hell happened? Hiruzen asked, his voice filled with urgency as he approached them. Asuma, ever the one to deliver bad news with a calm demeanor, stepped forward. We were attacked, Pops. The Hokage's eyes narrowed, his expression darkening. Someone targeted the package, he asked, referring to the mission they had just completed. No, Hana replied, shaking her head. It was after we completed the mission. We were on our way back. We would have run straight into their trap if it hadn't been for Naruto. They had some sort of technique that masked their presence. She paused, frowning. I don't even know how he sensed them. Hiruzen's face softened momentarily, a faint, knowing smile crossing his lips. He has his ways, he said mysteriously, hinting at Naruto's unique abilities. But the smile quickly faded as he asked, if it wasn't the package they were after, then what was the target? Sasuke, who had been silent, clenched his fists. The dobe, he muttered, his voice barely containing his anger. The elderly Hokage's eyes widened before narrowing in dangerous understanding. His voice became cold and authoritative as he commanded, tell me everything. Now. And so they did. Hana, Asuma, and Sasuke recounted the ambush, with Sakura and Ino chiming in through their tears. The details were horrific, how Naruto had fought despite being poisoned, how he had saved Sakura and Sasuke, and how they barely escaped with their lives. The story painted a grim picture, and Hiruzen's expression only darkened further. Before they could finish recounting the entire event, the doors to the operating room swung open. A doctor stepped out, his face grave. Hokage-sama, the man addressed Hiruzen respectfully. I'm afraid I don't have good news. Everyone's hearts seemed to stop for a moment, and the atmosphere became impossibly tense. How is he, Maki? Hiruzen asked, his tone quieter now, though still commanding. Dr. Maki, the head medic, took a deep breath before continuing. Naruto sustained severe injuries, major internal bleeding, multiple broken ribs, one of which punctured his lung. His shoulder blade was shattered, most likely from the fall. Maki shook his head. These injuries are severe, but given his incredible healing factor, they're not what I'm most concerned about. Sakura's breath caught in her throat as she listened. Ino clung to the edge of her seat, trembling. The most dangerous threat to Naruto right now, Maki continued, is the poison. Whoever made it tailored it specifically for him. It's targeting his entire nervous system. We managed to remove all the poison, but his nerves are overstimulated, every breath is agony for him. If the effects don't wear off soon. Maki trailed off, his voice filled with regret. What are his chances? Hiruzen asked quietly, though his voice carried the weight of the world in that moment. Maki hesitated, then shook his head. I can't say for certain, Hokage-sama. It's not looking good, but we're doing everything we can. Right now, it's too dangerous for anyone to see him. I'm sorry. A thick silence settled over the group as Maki turned and walked back into the operating room, leaving them all to process the devastating news. Sakura's tears flowed freely now, her body shaking as she buried her face in her hands. Ino sat beside her, trembling as well, unable to form words. The third Hokage stood still for a long moment, eyes closed, before his face hardened again. Do you know who ordered this? He asked, his voice low and deadly. Asuma straightened, answering gravely. Naruto mentioned 3 names, Nishoku Hyuga, Hitoru Hyuga, and Madashiro Hyuga. They hired the mercenaries. Kirito Musashi and Hiro Minoru were their link. Asuma paused. He said he used his sword, and that you'd understand what that meant. Hiruzen's expression darkened further. I see. Without warning, he sent out a powerful pulse of chakra that rippled through the hallway, and in less than 30 seconds, an ANBU operative wearing an Oni mask appeared, kneeling before the Hokage. ANBU Commander Oni, Hiruzen addressed the operative. Mobilize all available ANBU. Remove the one stationed with the Hyuga and send them to the compound to await further instructions. Dispatch a team to capture civilian council members Kirito Musashi and Hiro Minoru and send them to Anko for interrogation. The rest of your team will prepare to raid the Hyuga clan compound for treason, specifically, the attempted murder of 3 clan heirs, 2 clan heads, and a civilian-born kunoichi. The only people exempt from suspicion are Hinata Hyuga, her younger sister, and Niji Hyuga. You have 15 minutes. Once I reach ANBU HQ, we will move out. Hi, the ANBU commander responded immediately, vanishing as quickly as he had appeared. The team members stared at the Hokage in silence, absorbing the gravity of what was about to happen. Sasuke clenched his fists tighter, his Sharingan flickering to life, swirling with barely contained fury. Isn't this going too far, Pops? Asuma asked cautiously. Hiruzen shook his head, his voice colder than before. If not for the information Naruto-kun provided, would be interrogating the entire Hyuga clan. What they have done is treason of the highest order. Their actions go beyond anything I can excuse. While I can understand if a clan wants to leave the village, plotting to kill 3 clan heirs and targeting others for collateral damage is inexcusable. Sasuke's fists trembled, and his Sharingan glowed with raw anger. They called us collateral damage. They said we weren't worthy of being part of the village. And now, because of them, the Dobe is fighting for his life, after being poisoned while saving me. His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. They deserve much worse than this. The Hokage nodded in agreement, his voice firm. They will face justice. Suddenly, Ino spoke up, her voice weak but determined. Hokage-sama. Naruto said that if you didn't take care of this, he would. He said he'd handle it Uzumaki style if, when he wakes up. Her eyes watered again. What did he mean by that? Hiruzen chuckled lightly, surprising everyone. Ah, yes. When Naruto was 9 years old, a local gang that was at odds with the boss of the Yakuza decided to kidnap Ayame Ichiraku. They thought they could force Naruto to work for them. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know the boy. Hiruzen's eyes glimmered with fondness. Naruto doesn't negotiate and it comes to ramen or his loved ones. He stole 10 explosive tags from me, took ninja wire, rusty kunai, and a hammer, and, using his pranking skills, attacked them. By the end of the day, 4 of the gang's buildings were destroyed, and all the kidnappers were found unconscious, some with limbs missing. Naruto walked back to Ichiraku Ramen with Ayame on his back, covered in blood, most of it his own. The group stared at the Hokage, wide-eyed. So, Hiruzen continued with a slight smile, when Naruto says he'll handle something Uzumaki style, it means total destruction. No questions asked. No mercy shown. He'll smash through anything in his way to achieve his goal, without regard for the surroundings. And he'll get it done. Hana blinked, disbelief clear on her face. Why weren't we told about this before? If Naruto could do something like that when he was 9, it means he has the potential to be an excellent strategist in battle. The Hokage sighed, his expression growing somber. The Yakuza took the blame for the incident to protect Naruto. It's tragic, really. The people of the Red Light District understood Naruto's heart better than most of the so-called elite of this village. They came to love him because he helped them without expecting anything in return. It's sad that those who are often looked down upon were the ones who saw his true worth. After a heavy pause, Hiruzen turned back to the group. You all deserve rest. I'm giving you a week off to recuperate. Hopefully, by then, Naruto-kun will be healed. In the meantime, I have matters to attend to. Without another word, the Hokage left in a hurry, his mind already focused on the looming conflict with the Hyuga clan. As soon as the Hokage left, Hana sighed. "All right, I'll see you all next week. Rest up." She paused, glancing at her students. "Actually. No." Sakura's voice cut through the air, startling everyone. Her eyes were red from crying, but her expression was filled with determination. "I can't wait that long. I need to be stronger now. I need to learn how to heal as quickly as possible. I'm useless right now." Tears streamed down her face. "Naruto got poisoned because I was too weak to protect myself. I can't let him die because of me." Sasuke, though stoic, nodded in agreement. "She's right. The Sharingan helps, but I'm not fast enough yet. I need more training." He clenched his fists. "It's better than sitting around, waiting for the dobe to wake up." Hana sighed again, this time with a small smile. "Fine. Meet me tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Training Ground 7. We'll start then." She started walking away, muttering to herself, maybe Enko-chan and Yugugo-chan are up for a trip to the hot springs. Sasuke left shortly after, his expression still brooding, and Asuma followed, leaving Ino and Sakura alone. "Ino," Sakura said softly, surprised when Ino raised an eyebrow. "Back then, when we were hanging over the cliff, you tried to save me." "Thank you. You'd do the same," Sakura replied, brushing off her gratitude with a small smile. Ino looked away for a moment before speaking again, her voice softer now. "I hope so, but don't think I'll let you win Sasuke-kun's heart just because of that forehead," she added with a smirk, trying to lighten the mood. Sakura, though exhausted, chuckled. "Let's just go, piggy. I'm too tired to argue about who's better right now." They shared a brief smile before turning back to glance at the doors to the operating room, both silently praying that Naruto would come through. After a few seconds, they finally turned and left, hoping that the next time they saw Naruto, he'd be smiling again, just like always. Inside the Hyuga compound, a tense meeting was underway. Hayashi Hyuga, the clan head, sat at the head of the room alongside his daughter, Hinata, who was present as the official heir. The air was heavy with expectation, especially as the conversation shifted toward Naruto Uzumaki. Now that all of this was taken care of, Elder Nishoku, Hayashi began, his authoritative tone commanding attention. The older man, Nishoku Hyuga, turned to face him. "Have you prepared the scrolls for Uzumaki-san? From my knowledge, he will soon return from his mission." From the corner of his eye, Hayashi noticed Hinata perk up slightly at the mention of Naruto, though she remained silent. But Nishoku's response came with an unsettling smirk. "No, I don't think that will be necessary." Hayashi's eyes narrowed at the smugness in the elder's voice. "What's that supposed to?" Before Hayashi could finish his sentence, a loud commotion came from outside the room. The sound of bodies hitting the floor reached their ears, followed by the screams of two branch member guards. "You can't come in, ARGH." The guards were thrown harshly into the room, landing just a few feet in front of Hayashi and Hinata. Before anyone could react, several shadowy figures appeared, jumping through the entrance. In an instant, they subdued the elders, Hayashi, and the remaining guards. Blades gleamed at their throats, and the tension in the room skyrocketed as the figures held them in place. The silence that followed was punctuated only by the sound of footsteps. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, stepped into the room, his expression as cold and unforgiving as a storm. Hayashi, recognizing the gravity of the situation, started to speak. "What is the meaning of th?" But he stopped mid-sentence when he saw the look in Hiruzen's eyes. "I gave you time to clean your house, Hayashi," the Sandame said, his voice like iron. "But now, it's too late." Every Hyuga in the room froze, their eyes widening in shock as the weight of the Hokage's words hit them. Elders Nishoku, Hitoru, and Madashire, Hiruzen continued, his voice booming with authority, "You are hereby arrested for treason against Konohagakure no Sato." The rest of the clan, excluding Hinata Hyuga, her younger sister, and the branch member who is part of Team Guy, is, as of this moment, under house arrest. Any attempt to escape by any of you will be treated as an act of treason. His voice, laced with chakra, reverberated throughout the entire Hyuga compound. The decree was clear: everyone, from the eldest elder to the youngest member, had heard the Hokage's command. Nishoku, defiant to the end, attempted to stand. "We have done nothing of the sort," he protested, but before he could say more, one of the shadowy figures, an ANBU operative, slammed him to the ground, pinning him there. "Oni," Hiruzen called out, addressing the ANBU commander. Kuma, the ANBU operative in charge, nodded in acknowledgement. "Hokage-sama. Do not kill them." "Ibiki awaits," Hiruzen ordered with a dark, almost sadistic smirk. Without hesitation, the ANBU operatives disappeared, taking the disgraced Hyuga elders with them. The room was left in an eerie silence, the weight of the situation pressing down on everyone present. Hayashi, regaining some of his composure, turned to Hiruzen, though his voice was filled with tension. "Hokage-sama. What have my elders and my clan done to warrant such treatment?" Hiruzen's gaze fell heavily on the Hyuga clan head. "Your elders hired IWA Missing Nin to assassinate Uzumaki Naruto and, by extension, the team he was with," the Hokage revealed, his words landing like a hammer blow. Hayashi's and Hinata's eyes widened in shock. They called Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, Yamanaka Ino, Inazuka Hana, and Sarutobi Asuma collateral damage, saying that they were unworthy of being part of the village. Ibiki will extract the rest of their confessions. Once the interrogation is complete, they will be publicly executed. The gravity of Hiruzen's statement hit hard. Public execution, a fate that awaited the elders, should their guilt be proven. And as if that weren't enough, Hiruzen continued. "Tomorrow, I will dispatch a division of Yamanakas to determine if more people within your clan share the same treasonous mindset. If they do, Hayashi, it won't just be your elders facing execution. Moreover, your clan will be required to pay reparations to the families of all those targeted." "Is Naruto-kun okay?" Hinata asked, her voice trembling with fear and concern. It was a rare moment for her, and even she was surprised she managed to speak without stuttering. Hiruzen's face softened slightly, but his response was grim. "Unfortunately, no. He is currently fighting for his life. The poison used on him was specifically designed to cause immense suffering. Even simple acts like breathing are causing him pain. The chances of his survival are slim." Hinata's face paled, tears streaming down her cheeks as she stood abruptly. Her fists clenched tightly, and for the first time, her emotions boiled over. "If Naruto-kun dies," she said, her voice filled with rage as she turned to glare at her father. Her Byakugan activated, and her eyes burned with uncharacteristic hatred. "I will kill you," she screamed, before storming out of the room, desperate to find her mother. Hayashi was left speechless, his daughter's words cutting deep. For years, he had pushed Hinata to her limits, doubting her worth as the heir of the Hyuga clan. And now, it was his own incompetence that had put his family and clan at risk. Hiruzen, observing Hinata's outburst, turned back to Hayashi with a dark chuckle. "I find it ironic, Hayashi. You push your daughter to the brink of exhaustion, belittle her for not being strong enough, and yet, it is your incompetence as a clan head that has led to this disaster." Hayashi, his pride still intact despite everything, scoffed. "Once it's known that only those three fools took action, everything will go back to normal." Hiruzen's expression darkened. "You have no idea how much trouble your clan is in, do you, Hayashi? Let me enlighten you." The Hokage's voice was filled with a heavy warning as he recounted a story that would chill the Hyuga leader to his core. A year ago, during his monthly visit, the daimyo-sama brought his grandson to Konoha. The boy, bored during a meeting, wandered off. He fell from a window while trying to catch a bird. Fortunately, Naruto-kun saw him and saved him. Not knowing who the boy was, Naruto played with him, fed him, and kept him safe until Daimyo-sama returned. When the daimyo found his grandson, the boy was calling Naruto Ni-sama, and ever since then, the daimyo has taken a personal liking to Naruto. Hayashi's face drained of color. The daimyo's grandson had been saved by Naruto? The implications of such a relationship sent a cold shiver down his spine. 3 months after their first meeting, Naruto-kun was officially named a friend of the daimyo's family, Hiruzen continued. But that's not all. Shortly before his graduation, Naruto revealed something even I hadn't known about. The Uzumaki clan, as you know, helped establish this village but remained in Yuzu no Kuni. What many didn't know was that the clan was structured similarly to your own, with a main branch, also known as the royal branch, and several side branches. The Uzumaki royal family had a unique crest and specialized seals that only those of royal blood could open. Hayashi's eyes widened as the pieces began to fall into place. I witnessed it myself, Hiruzen said, his voice soft but firm. Naruto opened a chest bearing the royal Uzumaki crest. He is the last of the Uzumaki royal bloodline and, by extension, is the rightful daimyo of Yuzu no Kuni. What your clan has done is tantamount to declaring war on a founding clan of Konoha, a close ally, and an allied nation of Hai no Kuni. Do you understand now, Hayashi? You've royally messed up. I warned you after the last council meeting to rein in your elders, and now you will all pay the price. Hayashi could barely process the words. The weight of what the Hyuga elders had done became clearer with every passing moment. The punishment for treason was death, and now his clan was teetering on the brink of destruction. Your only hope, Hiruzen said darkly, is that Naruto-kun wakes up before the daimyo learns of this. Otherwise, he will not come to talk, he will come for blood, the blood of the Hyuga clan. And he will have the right to demand it. Hayashi was stunned, realizing for the first time the full extent of what was at stake. Even his status as clan head couldn't protect him from the storm that was now brewing. With a snap of his fingers, Hiruzen signaled the ANBU to move. Seal their chakra, he ordered. The ANBU operatives complied, tapping the backs of each Hyuga present. Hayashi and the elders felt their chakra being cut off, leaving them powerless. Don't bother trying to undo the seals, Hiruzen warned, as only I, the ANBU commander, and our seal master have the keys. Any attempt to break free will be treated as treason. Oni, Hiruzen addressed the ANBU commander. Leave 10 ANBU here as guards. I'll also dispatch a unit of Aburame and Inazuka to ensure no one escapes. You already know who can leave the compound. If anyone else tries, treat them as traitors. And send a team to protect Naruto-kun's hospital room. Yes, Hokage-sama, Oni responded, his voice resolute. Hiruzen's final words sent a chill through the room. If anything about Naruto-kun's status leaks, you will all die. The ANBU commander nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. By your leave, Oni said, and in a puff of smoke, the ANBU disappeared, leaving only silence in their wake. Hiruzen turned back to Hayashi one final time. Young Hinata was right about one thing, Hayashi. If Naruto-kun doesn't survive, neither will you or the majority of your main branch. The only ones the daimyo-sama might save are your daughters and perhaps your wife. The rest of you will be left to face the consequences of your arrogance. With that, the third Hokage vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the Hyuga clan to reckon with the full weight of their actions. Hayashi's father, Elder Hoshi, was the first to break the silence. This is bad, Hayashi, he said gravely. I always knew those three were fools, but hiring someone to kill not only a Jinchuriki but a clan head, and loyal shinobi of the village? This could destroy us. Hayashi, still processing everything, could only grit his teeth. I know, Otosama. I know. He stood abruptly, his mind racing. It's good that I allowed Naruto to train with Hinata, he muttered, though the words felt hollow now. Elder Hiroshi sighed. That's assuming he survives. Hayashi's only response was a tense nod before he hurried out of the room, his mind already planning how to salvage what little remained of his clan's reputation. In the calming hot springs, Hana Inazuka sunk deeper into the warm water, her muscles relaxing as the heat melted away the stress of the past few days. Aha! I needed that, she sighed contentedly. Tell me about it, Anko Mitarashi replied from a few meters away, her usually wild and energetic self now subdued by the tranquil waters. Today I only got 2 pisspants who told me everything before I could even start. I swear, it's not as fun when they crack that fast. She pouted, her purple hair damp and clinging to her shoulders. At least you raided the Hyuga compound, Yu-chan, she said, glancing at Yuzuki Yugugo. Yeah, but I still don't know what those elders did to warrant such extreme action from Hokage-sama, Yugugo admitted, her brow furrowed in thought. Anko, ever the curious one, pressed on. The pisspants mentioned that they were hired to kill someone, but that's all they knew. Something about the Hyugas being involved with mercenaries. She gave a mischievous grin, always on the lookout for juicy gossip. They contacted mercenaries led by an A-rank IWA missing Nin, Moru of Shikuten, Hana said, eyes still closed, her voice calm but serious. Anko's eyes lit up, leaning forward with interest. How do you know that? They attacked my team during our last mission, Hana said with a sigh, the memory of the battle still fresh in her mind. Yugugo suddenly tensed, her hands gripping the edge of the hot spring as she realized. Damn, I should have known, she exclaimed. Naruto-kun was the target, wasn't he? Hana nodded, her voice heavy with emotion. Yes, Naruto was the target. Anko, wide-eyed, nearly jumped out of the water. What? Naruto? As in Uzumaki Naruto? Why would the Hyugas want to kill that midget? Yugugo was in front of Anko in a flash, her hands gripping Anko's shoulders, her usually calm face serious. Don't ever call him that, ever. Anko blinked, shocked by Yugugo's intensity. What is with you and the old man? It's like you're afraid of him. You don't understand, Yugugo said, her voice low. I once saw a Chunin call him a midget. Naruto-kun's entire demeanor changed. His eyes went cold, his body became rigid, like a predator waiting to strike. The Chunin took the bait and attacked him first. Naruto broke the guy's arm in 6 places in a single move. Yugugo sighed, rubbing her temple as if recalling the event was exhausting. And I never even saw Naruto move. If Aya Michiraku hadn't stopped him, he would have beaten the guy to a pulp. Anko's shock deepened. You mean Ichiraku's daughter stopped him? Yes, Yugugo confirmed. There are only 3 people who can reach Naruto when he's in that state. Who? Hana asked, her curiosity piqued as Naruto's new sensei. Yugugo hesitated for a moment before answering. Hokage-sama is one of them, of course. The second is Aya Michiraku, she saved that Chunin from spending months in the hospital. And the third? Yugugo sighed again, her voice softening. The third is the girl he's in love with, for some reason, Sakura Haruno. Sakura? Hana asked, surprised. The girl on his team? Yugugo nodded. Yes. And before Naruto left for his mission, he protected Hinata from being slapped by one of the Hyuga elders. That elder, one of the ones we arrested, tried to bring it to the council, but instead, he ended up almost being charged with treason. Naruto was supposed to receive some advanced chakra control exercises from him as a punishment for humiliating him. She shook her head. Ironic, considering what's happened now. Enko, always eager for drama, smirked. So, Naruto-kun killed that Moru guy? Hana shook her head. Actually, it was Naruto who killed Moru, she corrected, shocking both of her friends. Sakura told us after we were separated. Naruto sealed the body afterward. Wow, Enko said, visibly impressed. The kid took down an A-rank missing nin. I bet he's gloating now. But Yugugo, who knew Naruto far better, shook her head. No, Naruto doesn't gloat about killing. He hates it. He sees it as a waste of life. The only people he's ever killed without hesitation were rapists. In his mind, the only punishment for rape is death. The mood in the hot springs turned more somber, the gravity of the situation settling in. Naruto is in the hospital, in critical condition, Hana said quietly, making Enko and Yugugo's eyes go wide. He was poisoned while protecting Sasuke. The poison was crafted specifically for him, by the Hyuga elders. His chances of survival are slim. The bathhouse went silent for a moment, the weight of Hana's words hanging heavily in the air. Damn. Enko muttered, her usual bravado dimming. I hope the brat pulls through. He promised he'd help me get rid of this cursed seal. Her hand instinctively went to her neck, where Orochimaru's curse mark remained a constant reminder of her torment. Yugugo stared into the water, her brow furrowed. Now I understand why Hokage-sama acted so harshly with the Hyuga. They'll be in deep trouble when Daimyo-sama hears about this. Hana, confused, raised an eyebrow. What does Daimyo-sama have to do with it? Yugugo looked up, meeting Hana's eyes. Naruto-kun befriended the daimyo about a year ago. Hana's eyes widened in shock. You're serious? Yugugo nodded solemnly. Enko, on the other hand, burst out laughing. The most hated pariah in the village befriended one of the most important people in the country? He. That's just rich. Enko's laughter echoed through the hot springs. Oh man, when the daimyo finds out about this, the Hyuga clan is going to be in some deep shit. Hana couldn't help but agree, though her mind still lingered on Naruto. Yeah. She muttered, her thoughts clouded with concern. I hope Naruto-kun pulls through, Yugugo said quietly. Enko, ever the tease, smirked. Uhu, does Yugugo-chan care for Naruto-kun? Yugugo blushed slightly, but she didn't deny it. Yeah. I do, she admitted, surprising herself. He's a good kid. He respects kunoichi more than most male shinobi do. He follows his own code, protecting his precious people at any cost, hating perverts, doing what he thinks is right. And sure, he's dense, but that's part of his charm. He's interesting. Yugugo's got a crush on little Naru-chan. Enko teased, leaning in closer. Yugugo chuckled. Crushing? No. Heh. Besides, he sees me as Nikone-chan. I'm practically a family member in his eyes, asexual to him. Enko pouted. Asexual? With that body? She asked, incredulous. Yep, Yugugo said with a smirk. Besides, if anyone's going to pursue him, it should be you, Enko. He's going to help you with that curse seal, after all. Enko rolled her eyes, but her mischievous grin returned. Me? And the brat? Ha! I'd ride him to death in one night. Yugugo gave her a knowing look. You'd be surprised, Enko. He has more stamina than even Guy. Hana, listening to the banter, sighed. Could you not send Enko after my student? The last thing Naruto needs is more women chasing him. During the last mission, he was confessed to by a girl he didn't even know. 2 others, who he apparently knew from somewhere, practically threw themselves at him. She shook her head. This Ray girl even suggested she wanted to sleep with him, and while Naruto was oblivious, thinking about actual sleep, it was clear her thoughts weren't that innocent. Sakura and Ino were acting like jealous girlfriends, and Naruto didn't even notice. Anko's eyes sparkled with interest. Oh, tell me more, tell me more. For the rest of their time in the hot springs, the three women talked about Naruto's love life. Anko and Yugugo, both thoroughly entertained by Hana's recounting of the chaotic dynamics surrounding Naruto and the girls in his life. Council chambers. 4 days later, the atmosphere in the council chambers was tense as the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, entered the room. His face showed irritation, his patience already worn thin. "Let's start this meeting by telling me why I'm here," he said curtly, his gaze sharp as it swept over the assembled council members. Danzo Shimura, ever the opportunist, was the first to speak. "Yes, Hiruzen, we would like to." "That's Hokage-sama to you, Danzo," Hiruzen interrupted, his tone biting. Danzo's visible eye narrowed, but he complied. "Very well, Hokage-sama. We would like to know why the Hyuga clan is still under house arrest. The traitors were executed 2 days ago, so I don't see why." Once again, Hiruzen cut him off, this time with icy finality. "Because Uzumaki Naruto, the target of the assassination attempt, has not woken up yet." There was a murmur of confusion from the council members, but one particularly loud civilian council member, Chihiro Minoru, spoke up. "That's it? Just because because the boy hasn't woken up yet?" He sneered. "Then we, as the council, demand." Minoru's words were cut off as Hiruzen unleashed a wave of killing intent, silencing the room instantly. "Demand?" Hiruzen repeated, his voice dangerously low. "Last time I checked, I am the Hokage, and you do not demand anything from me. Let me educate you," Hiruzen continued as he unsealed a stack of documents, his tone laced with authority. "In the last 6 months, our trade income with Takumi no Sato has increased 25 times, all because of one reason, Uzumaki Naruto. He is their hero." The council sat in stunned silence as Hiruzen continued. "Nami no Kuni is establishing a trade route with us and is willing to sign an alliance, again, because of one reason, Uzumaki Naruto. A good portion of our village's income comes from missions that clients are giving us because of how peaceful and united we are perceived to be. If I lift the Hyuga house arrest now, it would send the message that what they did was not that serious. That would mean no trade with Takumi no Sato, no alliance with Nami no Kuni, and a significant loss of clients. Our income would plummet. So if you're too short-sighted to understand these basic facts, then maybe Naruto-kun is right, this council has become a liability to the village." The room was silent, the council members staring at Hiruzen in disbelief. But before anyone could respond, the doors burst open as a Chunin came running into the room. "Hokage-sama. Daimyo-sama has arrived," he shouted, his face pale with fear. "But he's not alone. He brought the 12 ninja guardians and 100 battle-ready samurai." Hiruzen cursed under his breath, his face tightening. "For days, he thought grimly. "He didn't give us much time. I hope you wake up soon, Naruto-kun, or today may be the last day for the Hyuga clan." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.